Today is the 9th day of the month of Teves, and we are going to take a break from our regular order, our regular schedule of going through the different chapters of the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, and we're going to jump to chapter 121. This is because tomorrow is the 10th day of the month of Teves, and it's a fast day, so we're skipping to that for today. We'll be going from paragraph 1 through paragraph 5 in chapter 121. There's a mitzvah to fast on days on which horrible stuff happened to us in previous generations. The goal of these fasts is to arouse us to repent, to get us to reflect on the choices that we made that caused God to have to give us those consequences of those horrible things happening, and to think about ways that we could improve to make sure that we don't replicate those sins and those bad choices that were the catalyst for those horrible tragedies. Paragraph 2. Besides for Yom Kippur, which is a biblical commandment to fast on Yom Kippur, that's in the Torah itself, there are 5 other days that we fast throughout the year. 4 of them we fast because horrible things happen to the Jewish people on those days. The 5th one is in its own category, and that is the fast of Esther, the day before Purim we fast, and we're reliving the fast that the Jews fasted in the times of Esther. In the story of Purim, they fasted the day before they went to battle to repent and do tshuva in preparation for going into battle. And when we fast on that day, then we're reliving the fast that they fasted back in the Purim story. So that's not a fast due to calamity which happened, that's reliving and tapping into the energy of that day, of that fast back then. So that's why that one, the fast of Esther, has its own categories. Right now we're going to focus on the other 4 fasts, which are fast days because of horrible stuff which happened to the Jewish people. So the first one is the day after Rosh Hashanah, the 3rd day of the month of Tishrei, and it's called the Fast of Gedaliah. The first temple was destroyed by the king of Babylonia, Nebuchadnezzar. He destroyed the temple, and he exiled most of the Jews from Israel. He brought most of them to Babylonia, modern-day Iraq, sold them as slaves, slaughtered hundreds, thousands, maybe tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands in the process, of course. It was horrible. But some Jews still he let remain behind in Israel and let them live their lives, and he appointed this man Gedaliah, the son of Achikam, to be the leader of the Jews. This man Gedaliah was a great rabbi, a tzaddik, a Torah scholar, and he was very fitting for the position. However, there was a Jew who assassinated him, and because of that, Nebuchadnezzar ended up exiling all the Jews, kicked out all the Jews till hardly any remained in Israel. The Jews that had survived his first wave of exiles, first wave of slaughter, and of being sold in slavery, they now faced the same thing. So again, that was on the 3rd day of Tishrei, the day after Hashanah, and that is a communal fast day. Paragraph 3. The next fast day is the 10th of the month of Teves, which is tomorrow. The 10th of the day of Teves is the day that Nebuchadnezzar, that king of Babylonia, laid siege to the city of Jerusalem, which ultimately culminated with him breaking through the walls of Jerusalem and destroying the temple and kicking out all the Jews, exiling all the Jews, as we discussed. Paragraph 4. The next of the 4 fast days is the 17th day of the month of Tammuz. 5 calamities occurred on this day, on the 17th day of the month of Tammuz. The first is that this is the day that Moses broke the tablets. Just to recap quickly the story, Moses brought the Jews to Mount Sinai. He went up to Mount, God offered the Jews the Torah. The Jews accepted. Moses said to the Jews, okay, I'm going up on the mountain, up to Mount Sinai, 40 days, 40 nights. I back in 40 days with the Torah. And he goes up on the mountain. The Jews miscalculated the 40 days, and in their panic, they not knowing where Moses was, they built the golden calf. Moses then came down with the 2 tablets, and he saw the golden calf, and he smashed the tablets on the ground. That took place on the 17th day of the month of Tammuz. The next thing which took place on the 17th of the month of Tammuz is that from the time the Jews built the tabernacle in the desert, for the next 1,000 years, every single day an offering was brought in the morning and an offering was brought in the evening. Initially it was in the tabernacle in the desert, then in the tabernacle in Israel, and then in the temple that King Solomon built upon using the blueprints of King David that was brought in the temple. Towards the end of the first temple, then there was a civil war amongst the Jewish people, which led to a siege of Jerusalem, and they weren't able to bring in any animals into Jerusalem, and ultimately that daily offering, which was brought every morning and every evening, twice daily, that was stopped for the first time in close to 1,000 years. I think the exact number may have actually been 800 something. I don't remember the exact number. But the first time in hundreds of years where this daily offering was not brought. That was calamity number 2. Calamity number 3 was during the Second Temple. The Second Temple was destroyed by the Romans. The Romans were the world rulers. They captured Israel. They captured Jerusalem. They destroyed the Second Temple. So they broke through the walls of Jerusalem on the 17th day of the month of Tammuz. 3 weeks later, they ended up making it to the temple itself, and they destroyed the temple. They burnt it down. But they broke through the walls of Jerusalem on the 17th day of the month of Tammuz. Calamity number 4 was that there was a Greek general named Apistamus who burnt a Torah scroll on the 17th of Tammuz. And the 5th calamity is that an idol was erected in the temple. There's some discussion about when did this take place. Did it take place also in the time of Apistamus, that Greek general, or it may have actually been erected by a Jewish king named King Manasseh? It could be that was him who erected this idol in the temple. But because of those 5 calamities, the 17th day of the month of Tammuz is also a communal fast day. Paragraph number 5. The 4th communal fast day is Tisha B'Av, the 9th day of the month of Av. This is 3 weeks after the 17th day of Tammuz, and on Tisha B'Av, on the 9th day of Av, also 5 horrible things happened. The first is that in the desert, the Jews sent in spies to go spy out the land of Israel. They had left Egypt approximately around a year earlier, and they're now on the verge of entering Israel. A bit more than a year and a few months. They're on the verge of entering Israel. They sent in spies to check it out before they go into Israel, and the spies come back with a horrible report. The Jews all weep. They say there's no way that we could conquer those huge giants and powerful people that live in Canaan, as it was called at the time. They gave up hope in faith. They lost their faith in God, that God could take care of them, that God could help them conquer the land of Canaan. And because of losing that faith, then God said to them, you guys, this generation, you're not going into Israel. Your kids will go in, but you're all going to die here in the desert. And that's when we had to wander in the desert for 40 years. Because of that, we spent the next 40 years in the desert. That generation died out. And the next generation is the one that went into Israel. So that happened. When did the spies come back with that report? When did we lose our faith? That was on the 9th day of the month of Av. The next calamity which happened is that the first temple was destroyed by the Babylonians on the month of Av, on the 9th day of the month of Av. The third calamity is that a second temple was destroyed by the Romans on the 9th day of the month of Av. The fourth thing is that in the time of the Roman conquest of Israel, there was a mountaintop fortress named Beitar. Beitar had tens of thousands of Jews who had fled there, and the Romans captured Beitar. They broke through the fortress on the 9th day of the month of Av, and they slaughtered every man, woman, and child that had escaped Beitar. Tens of thousands of people were slaughtered on that day. The 5th calamity which happened on the 9th day of Av is that there was a Roman governor of Jerusalem. His name was Turnus Rufus, and destroying the temple was not enough for the Romans. After destroying the temple, they then brought plows and they plowed over the temple, adding insult to injury by turning the holiest place in the world into a field, into a place for animals to walk around, to eat grass, etc. These all happened on the 9th day of the month of Av, and therefore the 9th day of the month of Av is a fast day as well. In addition, there are many other calamities that happened to the Jewish people on the 9th day of Av. In the year 1290, the Jews were expelled from England on the 9th day of Av. In the year 1492, the Jews were expelled from Spain on the 9th day of Av. And in 1914, a Serbian national assassinated Archduke Franz Ferdinand and his wife. Franz Ferdinand was the heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, and that led into motion the World War I, and on the 9th of Av is the day that Germany declared war on Russia. And as we know, World War II was just an extension, really, of World War I. Without World War I happening, World War II would not have happened. So the 9th day of Av is a pretty bad day for the Jews. This concludes today's episode, but I just want to add in one more thing about the fast tomorrow. The fast of the 10th of Teves begins at dawn and ends when it's fully night. If you're not sure what time halachic dawn is or nighttime is in your area, go to myzmanim.com. That's myzmanim, ZMANIM.com. You put in your location, your zip code, and it'll tell you what time the fast starts and what time the fast ends. If you have any questions throughout the fast day, of course, feel free to reach out to me. Have a wonderful day. Have an easy fast and a meaningful fast tomorrow, and we'll see you on tomorrow's episode.